Hey, she's actually tapping. She said she's actually tapping. She's tapping. And it's nice to have fun. Hey.
We send people to downstairs and they come back and say,
What
what?
are you doing? I'm like, is that phone there? Hey! I'll teach you how to do it. And what I'm going to do? And that is one of the many ways we communicate. Hi, I'm Sharon McDonald, and today we're going to be talking about being a better communicator. How about that? And one of the many things, that was just one of the many forms of communication. Today, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to get into a lot of phases of communication. We're going to talk about body language, eye contact, listening, which is one of the most misunderstood skills. That is crucial. We're going to talk about like a one-way communication. We're going to talk about positive reinforcement, conflict, and we're going to talk about, let's see, what else are we going to talk about today? All right, let's just get right into this. First of all, the many phases of communication, as I have said. Whoops. These are not all of them, but some of the phases of communication that we will be getting into. And we're going to just start off right off the bat, and we're going to just talk about a little effective listening, all right? Effective listening. What in the Sam Hill does that mean? Well, two things. People often confuse hearing with listening. Two entirely different things. I'm going to give you an example of how I use effective listening skills. Way back when, I think it was like in the 70s, I was a little spunkier then. and I wasn't quite as old as pantyhose, but I had an interview with General Motors. And I was already with Ford Motor Company. At that time, they called them headhunters, you know, trying to snatch this person from that person. So when I got to the interview at General Motors, everything was going really, really great. And then we got down to talk about the money. I don't have any problems talking about that. So the guy said to me, he says, tell me, Sharon, he said, what would you like to earn? Without hesitation, I said, 100,000. He said, excuse me? I said, I'd like to earn 100,000. I said, let me understand your question. You did ask me how much would I like to earn? Well, the answer is 100,000. He says, well, we're not paying that. I'm sorry to hear that. So he then went down the line to make me some offer. I said, that sounds reasonable. I will accept. Thank you. And again, getting into that listening and hearing real good. Now I'm going to talk about, briefly, I'm going to talk about how your body language and when you don't have any verbal contact, what that can do. I'm a real big traveler, 42 states, 37 countries. I don't speak any languages. I just have really good body language. Well, in the 70s, I was in Malaga, Spain. So there I am in Malaga, Spain, and I had gone to one of the little stores and bought some postcards. Of course, I got to send some postcards to my friends, right? So now I've decided, where in the Sam Hill am I going to mail these? So I had written it out at the store. Now I'm trying to find a post office to get the stuff in the mail. So anyway, and I'm running across people, don't know the language, but I'm relying on my body. And I'm like, where can I mail these? And they're like, como? Here's what I did. I took out the postcard. I never said a word. I took out the postcard and said, And ah, it's amazing what body language can do. It's incredible. You don't need to. Give you an example of of body language.
Oh. I'm in trouble.
I mean, need I say more? Isn't it amazing? And how about this? Suppose I'm talking to you. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, what? I didn't say anything. What did I say?
You spoke volumes.
Yes, isn't that amazing? Communication is phenomenal. And one of the greatest ways, I think, being an ex-school teacher, I think it's like in the teaching profession, is to really use communication. I was teaching in Detroit, and I was teaching algebra. I'm not an algebra major. What happened was, something happened to the teacher, and they took me out of art and put me in algebra. Can you imagine, from art to algebra? Okay, so I'm sitting in the class, and I figure, well, I've had college algebra, you know, I should be able to handle this. And as I'm going through the technical things on the board, I'm looking at all these blank stares, and the kids are like, what in the sandhill is she talking about? I knew right then I had to put down my pen and I had to change. Either I could have kept going according to the book or the rules, or I need to stop and communicate with these kids so I can teach them. So what I had done, I said, hi, inner city Detroit. I put down the pen and I said, I went around in front of the desk, I said, how many of you can play Bid Whist? Now I knew what the answer was, and like, yeah, we can play Bid. Good. They were having a problem with positive and negatives. Basic little thing. They just couldn't get past that. If you had a -6 and +7, they couldn't get past that. I said, okay, let's pretend like we're playing cards and I'm dealing you guys these hands, all right? So I said, suppose you have a real good hand and you're going for the boss. You're going to big time, you got your coat on, you're going for the biggie. And I said, and you don't make it, what is your score? So they said, oh, you're in the hole. So I wrote it on the board. Whatever they said, I wrote it on the board. I said, second hand. I said, you're a little less leery of what happened the first time. So, what are you going to bid this time? Oh, this time we're going for a 5. Great, you made your bid. No extra point. What's your score? They told me. I wrote that on the board. That's algebra. Oh, no, but wait, no. I'm like, yeah, it is. I said, you're getting hung up in terminology. It's not that. I'm trying to get you to understand that and change your attitude about this word called algebra. It is nothing to it. Here's another one. I told them, I said, okay, now that I've got their interest, now I'm going to go for broke. I said to them, I said, okay, let me tell you something. Suppose you borrowed $100 from me. I gave you $100. That's a positive $100 in your pocket. You told me you were going to pay me back next Friday. Come next Friday, you got your little pitiful mouth telling me I ain't got your money, and you only wanted to give me $40. Well, $40 is a positive, but you're still in the hole for $60. You still owe me $60. And it was bingo. It's like, oh, I got it. I said, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing, the things that we say, and we're not even aware of it. I'll tell you another example, like our ways of communicating that people say all the time. I don't know why they say it. I've even said it. All I want to do is just get my foot in the door. Why would you just want to get your foot in the door? Is that all you want to do is get your foot in the door? Don't you want the job? Isn't there something else? What are you going to do after your foot is in the door? Then what? Are you going to call in for the second one to come in? Our communication is just so, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm going to share this with you. When I started producing my little coloring books, I don't know if you guys know about sales, but when you're out there in sales, you got to knock on a lot of doors and whatever. And one thing I've learned in sales is you have exactly 30 seconds to get the attention and make the sales. Well, as I'm beating the pavement trying to push my little book, what I did was I started doing books of whoever I wanted to speak to, because I know everybody has an ego. So what I would do is, the first show I had gone on was Rolanda's show. I don't know if you remember it or not, all right? And I had made this book for Rolanda. Now, I'm going on her show, and I'm trying to sell and get on television, so here's what I had done. Now, the book had her face on it, and I says, I have something for you, I'd like to give it to you. She said, what is it? So when I showed her the book, the first thing her eyes caught the picture. And I said, and I knew I had 30 seconds, and as I flipped through the pages, I said, you are interested in the welfare of the children, aren't you? What do you think she said?
Of course.
Of course. I said, well, thank you. This is for you. And I left. You also, in communication, you got to know what to say and when to, pardon the expression, shut up. Mm-hmm. You cannot keep going on. When I do, when I try to train the teachers, if you go by the book, there's going to be times when you're going to have to step away from the book because it doesn't work. Right. If I'm standing up there teaching an audience and everybody is yawning, you have blown it. If you're sitting up here in a group meeting, how many of us have been to those meetings where you hear somebody next to you snoring and you and the only thing that bothers you about the snoring is that that was you, that you had the nerve enough to go to sleep? It doesn't matter about the contents of the material. If you're not getting across, it doesn't matter. It's like you're trying to make a point, and if nobody gets the point, is there a point? You know, isn't it amazing? And you've got to know when to shut up, when to listen, and you have to listen intensely. And you know what? I don't know why that's so underrated. Listening. Listening is the key to everything. If you don't have great listening skills, how are you going to interpret anything about your staff? How are you going to interpret the special skills and needs of your staff? How are you going to influence anybody if you've ever listened? And I'm sure most of us have at one time walked in and talked to your boss or supervisor, whatever you want to call him, and he was doing something, you know, everything else. It made you feel like, well, what in the Sam Hill am I doing here? You know, you're not interested in what I'm saying. The whole body language said it. Even though it says I have an open door policy, yeah, that means keep on walking through this door and right out the next, because it simply does not mean stop and listen to me. And if we don't stop and listen to our children, our employees, co-workers, whoever else is part of our little inner circle, I think we're going to miss a lot. How are you going to learn about